But don't they run the risk of trying to water down whatever it is that's going on with the Senate president now, at the risk of people saying, oh, APC is being biased because he's a member of their party?
This is an issue that has been on ground since 2003, 2007. This was Bukola Saraki's public asset declaration of 2003, 2007. So if these things were not urgent as of 2008, 2009, 2010, up to 2015, what makes it so urgent now? I mean, at the time Senator Bukola Saraki was defecting from the PDP to the APC, it was not an urgent issue. At the time he was campaigning for APC, it was not an urgent issue. You know, so for me, I think I do not see any urgency in that. There are other ways to go about it. Having a situation where the number 1 man and the number 3 man have, you know, this sort of mini clash that might degenerate into a full-blown executive versus Senate war, I think it's not a palatable.
But the APC does not have a say in what the Court of Conduct Tribunal does.
Well, somebody, a member of APC, I mean, somebody, one of the aides of Senator Bukola Saraki released the information that a top APC member was the one who supplied the entire evidence. What I'm saying is this. The Court of Conduct Tribunal may not have received written instruction from anybody, but of course, they read the body language of somebody whose body language is fast becoming the mode of communication in governance. So having read his body language and seen, that is why you have all these attacks suddenly coming up. Now, I do not have any loyalty to Senator Bukola Saraki. I do not know him from anywhere. I've never been a fan of his. But I am more concerned about the wider implications of the executive and legislative problems that we may have. Senator Bukola Saraki, at a point in time, he may run into problems with the senators of his own of his own legislative. When that time comes, let it be so. But trying to go against the will of a number of senators in a democracy, I think, you know, that might be leading us into crisis. We saw this under General Olusegun Obasanjo, under former President Olusegun Obasanjo, you know, all the various classic crises that he had. But he was able to manage them better because he understood the importance of having the support of Senate members on the floor, first of all, before moving against the Senate president. Now, moving against a Senate president without the support of senators on the floor of the House of, on the floor of the Senate may be a problem, and that is where I would, that is a situation that one does not want.
Still talking about the APC now, there's a lot happening with the APC, and Bayelsa State, of course, is one big one that's come up recently, where the primaries were held for the governorship nominee, the governorship candidates, and we did hear about people staging in walkouts, and the governor of Edo State in a war of words with the candidates who eventually emerged with nobody supervising the elections. And now we hear the APC has cancelled the primaries to do another one. And now the candidates who emerged then is saying this election must stand. There's so much happening with Bayelsa State.
Well, I think the etymology of all this crisis is in the fact that the APC at a certain point in time brought down the standard of people it wanted in its party, and it welcomed a lot of people. It welcomed people, strange bedfellows, basically. So now you have someone like former Governor Timipri Silva in the party. You have someone like Timi Alaibe in the party, both former PDP members, both former PDP bigwigs. They have always been interested. At the point in time, Timipri Silva was a governor on the platform of PDP. So the crisis that is happening, I think it is most unfortunate. I think it is most unfortunate. It's a primaries. It should be done freely and fairly. Of course, one is not happy with the fact, again, that some people were using that opportunity to cast aspersions on the people of Bayelsa. But when the PDP came and PDP did its own primaries, which was free and fair, you know, it was able to say, okay, fine, this is not generally what the Bayelsa people are like. The APC needs to get its acts together. If it's going to win Bayelsa, which I do not think will happen, but even if it's going to make a significant impact in the forthcoming elections, I think it needs to get its acts together. And it needs to tell its members, which, you know, Chief John Udigi Oyegun has said, that no member should comment on such things anymore. Hearing war of words between Governor Oshiomhole saying, using foul language against the former governor, Timipri Silva, and Timipri Silva responding, I think, you know, this is something that we do not want. But then the etymology of it remains, and which also applies to the Bukola Saraki case, that the APC, through its doors open, welcomed all sorts of people, and now those people haven't you know, attained the mission of removing former President Goodluck Jonathan. Now they have to contend, and but the contention for me must never spill into the polity and affect the polity.
What do you think with all of this infighting, quote unquote, going on in the APC now? A lot of people have said, oh, it's good for the PDP because then most people might come back to the party, or it might weaken the APC and then make the PDP stronger for the future. And some are saying it's actually good for the APC to go through this formation period where all of this is happening and they can morph better into a better party. What do you think is the case?
Well, I think while it might be good for the image of PDP, how PDP is able to take advantage of this would be its PDP's own internal reorganization, which I think still needs to be stepped up. PDP still needs to do a lot in terms of internal reorganization and position itself strategically. PDP needs to realign itself with its own motto, power to the people. Get back to the people, align with the people once again. I'm happy with the fact that the PDP is not making political gain out of all the Boko Haram deaths that we are having and all the crises that we are having. I'm happy with that. Is it good for the APC to go through this particular period? Well, one does not want it so soon because it may distract from governance. I and many other Nigerians are eager to see APC deliver on promises which some of us described as phantasmagorical at a point in time. We want to see them deliver on those promises. Nigerians are waiting. I mean, about 2 months ago, women in Katsina went to go and queue for 5,000 naira. They went to the banks. They heard the announcement for the BVN, but they went to the banks to go and queue for 5,000 naira as 2 months ago. Students have resumed in this September. They want their free meals. Youth corpers are passing out in about 2 weeks. They want to continue getting paid, just like the APC promised. So Nigerians want the delivery of promise. Whatever it is, politicians would always have issues. That is normal. There will always be contentions. But now that the APC is in power, the APC must resist the urge to use state machinery to fight its own members. If not, things may degenerate, and we do not want such a situation.
Still talking about politics now, and Governor Mechi was in the news as well last week about trying to sue the Rivers State government. He's been accused of corruption for several reasons. I think he's suing for, is it 30 billion or 300 billion? I'm not sure what he's trying to demand from the Rivers State government. But for me, the most important thing there is we've talked a lot in this country about, we always hear allegations. We always hear allegations, even with the present government now. I'm talking federal government. We hear a lot of figures thrown here and there, a lot of names being thrown around, but we never really get to see maybe facts or people actually going to trial. So do you think Governor Mechi is trying to prove a point there to say, okay, if you are going to accuse me, bring out the facts?
The figure itself is very ridiculous. It shows that the governor is embarking on a jamboree. The governor just wants to, he's fighting the political battle of his life. I mean, it's about losing out in the APC power setup. Where the governors who call themselves the new PDP are almost losing out in the power tussle. So he wants to come back into relevance. And one of the allegations that have dogged him all through his political career or recently in his political career is that he is corrupt. So the governor wants to reclaim a bit of that. But I think there are more serious ways to go about it. If you really want to make a statement, 300 billion or 30 billion is an outrageous sum. It shows that you are just going to the courts to just make fun or make a lampoon out of yourself. I think that Governor Rotimi Amechi needs to be serious with his own political career. This is a man who has defected, a man who spent 16 years on the platform of PDP at the helms of affairs, first as the Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly, and now and then as the governor, 8 years as the governor, and then you became a part of the change movement. Now, if you want people to take you seriously, I think there are other ways to go about it than suing people all over for 300 billion.
But if the government has not brought any facts upon, why shouldn't he sue?
Well, I mean, he can sue. But then, I mean, it has to be within realistic, you sue for commensurate damages. 300 billion? I mean,
that's what he feels his image is worth.
I'm just saying that, I think there are more serious ways, to address issues of image. And this amount is a little bit too ridiculous, in my own opinion.
Let's leave all the politics now and go to something really sad that's happened. Now we're going to Saudi Arabia, where about 700 lives were lost in a stampede, including a number of Nigerians. We've heard about 2 Court of Appeal justices, and we're not even sure of the number yet. I still see on social media people saying, "Oh, my father is missing. Please help me if you can reach him," and all of that. And the Emir of Kano, Sanusi, did say, I think the Saudi Saudi government, this is talking about African migrants. African. Hajj people being at fault or something along those lines, not following orders and all of that. And he said, yeah, shouldn't be the case. I know Iran has said we're going to sue the Saudi government. Nigeria has not said anything about that yet. But it's something that happens every year with the Hajj, with the stampede and people dying. And it makes you wonder, at what point should countries, especially Nigeria, who almost always lose lives in this place, at what point should we start taking, this thing seriously and actually maybe following through with proper prosecution?
Well, I think it's a very unfortunate incident. A number of people lost their lives. Professor Jega's brother lost his lives. Some appeal court judges lost their lives. And we must start, by expressing condolences to those people. Of course, these are issues. I think this is the highest number that has we've seen in quite a long time. I mean, sometimes you have the usual deaths and so on, but well, I'm a Nigerian. I expect the government to take it up officially, and people have been speaking on this matter, but I think it is something that is worth being looked at? Is it something that is worth being looked into?
What would you expect Mr. President to do?
Well, again,
or the government?
I'm trying not to comment too much on this because I'm not a Muslim, and I understand that most people have their opinions on this. But I do think that Mr. President should act, and look into what happened, and let us think of ways, to prevent such happening going forward.
Thank you very much, Demola. There's a lot, of course, to talk about, but if we keep talking about Nigeria, we'll probably spend the whole day here. Thanks for being here today. Looking forward to the ministers by Wednesday.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed.
Thank you very much. When we come back, we'll be talking more right here on Rubbin Minds. Please stay with us.